Hello, dear friends, at Kardec Radio, here we are. 21 days to spiritual awakening. And you and I are invited to continue on day 18th today. This journey on the reading and also the interpretation of the book, Voltei. This book really is life-changing. Is a book that brings new concepts. This is a book written by a spiritist author who discarnated. A spiritist author. This is actually the first time that a spiritist then comes as discarnated and tells the story. How relevant is this? Truly relevant. Why? Just for several reasons. But mostly because, as Jesus said to Nicodemus once, it's not enough to know. We really need to feel it. It's not enough to know that we need to forgive if we don't forgive. To need to be compassionate if we're not compassionate. But Vanessa, it's hard. Well, once we know how to read, we better read. And here we are. We need to comply with the laws that rule our lives. Inevitably, we really need it. Because sooner or later, life is going to call us. So much so that even when we are incarnated, it may shake us up. Like the near-death experience of Dr. Eben Alexander III. He, as an academic neurosurgeon, had a near-death experience. And when he came back, he changed his life. Today, he's promoting the awareness that life is much more than the eyes can see. And he's not just saying for saying. He changed it and takes great courage to do so. Because not everybody understands it. Many people are sleeping. It's like when people are sleeping and you say, wake up, and they're like, I don't want to wake up, I want to sleep longer. Like somebody whom I know, like, and that's how people are. They don't want to wake up. Do we want to wake up? Yeah. Why? Because it's much happier, right? It's much happier. I know there are days we are frustrated, because we want to do the good. We want to build the new world. And we are facing obstacles. It hurts. But you know who are we, right? We've done that in previous lives. Very likely. Jesus came and he was never bothered in that regard. He was compassionate towards us. Because he looked at us with a melancholic look and felt for us and still does. Because the longer it takes for us to pick up the pace of the good, the more we suffer. The more we actually are deterred in our own progress. We do not regress. We always progress. But it's imperative that we progress willingly. Goodwill is a cornerstone of our evolution. Some people have been asking, Vanessa, why is it that I don't feel my life moving forward? We only see our lives moving forward when we make decisions. Knowing the pathway is not enough. We need to walk it. We need to walk the pathway. To walk the pathway, it depends on decisions. Today I was talking to friends, Carol and Mark Smith, and we were talking about the reasons why we potentially have a difficulty applying these teachings in our life. Because, as Carol mentioned to me, the old conditionings, and also neuroscience could explain, because we haven't formed the pathways in our spiritual and physical brains that would guarantee the manifestation of it all. So what do we need to do? Effort and repetition. Kardec mentions the fact that the intensity, the frequency of our thoughts will provide the condensations of those thoughts in our spiritual body. And the more they are there, later they're gonna saturate it, the molecules, to manifest in the physical realm. So we really need to keep working to achieve it. Right? Yes, dear friends. And I'm gonna say hi to all of you, because it's always a joy to be here in a community that is truly committed to the loving message of the Christ, the Spiritist message. Right? It's our 11th hour Spiritist Center. Yes, it is. And here we have our dear friend John the Rose. We have our dear friend Ceissa, Vanessa Leiras. How are you? And the pregnancy, how is everything? We are praying here. Sunshine, beautiful sunshine, sunshine. Leia Severo, how are you? And McCarthy Claire, may I? Bailey Claire, right? Danny, how are you, Danny? Rihanna, how are you? By the way, July 4th is approaching, and that's the deadline for people who would like to donate books to the South Africa group, coordinated by Rihanna and Nico. And they must be English-speaking books, written books, and you can send it to Kardec Radio's P.O. Box, or donate money, and we're going to convert everything books for the group, okay? Hello, Andrea Torres, how are you? Hello, Adilson. Hello, Leonor, how are you? Hi, Karina, how are you? Rosalind, Rosa. Valeria, how are you, Valeria? And if you're listening to us like, Vanessa speak all this name, why do I care? Because we care about you too. So you feel that this is like a human conversation. We're not robotics. And I'm not a preacher either. I share. I don't preach. And when we share, we're humans. We talk. We say hi. And if you're watching this on demand or listening to this on demand at Kardec Radio, remember, just remember, we may not say your name here live, but you are in our hearts and our prayers. We may not have time either to like all the messages, but we keep an eye. We're constantly there checking. And if you need anything, kardecradio.com has a contact form. You can contact us, or at the Facebook page, okay? Tonight actually is 18th. I made a mistake in the previous ones, Adilson, for some reason, and it looks like it's the 18th, but we can double check, okay? Nina, how are you? Katya, love these colorful hearts. Carol Correa would love it. Yeah, she's here. You see. Okay, Annie Mércia, how are you? Juliano, how are you, Juliano? Teresa Castro. You know, at the Brazilian Spiritist Federation, they have Esperanto audio files on the Spiritist books, and its potential. There is a high probability that we're going to stream once a week in a particular time some of the Esperanto files, so people can practice, can learn it. Esperanto is a language that was compiled to make people communicate with the world without the language barriers. But you know, that's the beauty of the future. For now, let's keep it English, okay? Rudy, awake and present. Me too. sipping my spiritual coffee. Paula Andrade, how are you? First time here? Where are you coming from, Paula? Do you mind sharing with us? Thank you. Meanwhile, while you share with us, I'm gonna kindly ask Carol Correa to share the information about Fraternity Without Borders, okay? Let's watch it. Hello, Carol.
Hello, friends. It's an honor to be here with you once again to ask you as awakened spirits from the center of the 11th hour to stretch your arms, stretch your heart, and stretch your soul to our brothers and sisters in Africa by supporting the beautiful efforts of the Fraternity Without Borders. Here on Facebook Live, we already experienced this, right? So why not share the gift forward, pass it forward, and you can do so by purchasing this beautiful, beautiful book and awakening your soul even further by allowing your beautiful heart to ingest pills of trust with a lot of love from our hearts to your heart. Thank you for listening.
All right, thank you, Carol. Isn't it good to have Carol here? It's teamwork effort. You're helping us. Carol is helping. It's like teamwork effort, right? Teamwork effort. Here we have Tia Hebe. Beijo pra senhora Tia Hebe, pra Dona Elia, pra todo mundo, okay? And Adilson, thank you for the link, fraternitywithoutborders.org. Paula is from Nashville. Oh, I remember you were in Charlotte. Yes, it was a beautiful day, right? Weekend. What a weekend. Sunshine saying hi. McCurvey Claire. Yes. You know, what a blessing, right,
Yes,
Carol?
it
is to be together, friends. It's really special. Hello, Emily. Emily. Love your name, Emily. Such a spiritual enemy. Right, name. Where are we today? This chapter is titled In the School of Illumination. Who wants to enroll in the School of Illumination? Raise your hands. Both hands. Carol too. Right, Carol?
Right.
And here we are. Yes, remember, the renowned Bittencourt Sampaio kindly came from higher spheres. Welcome, Brother Jacob, who discarnated was still adapting to the new life. And everybody brought. This is the world of happiness. I'm not saying it's a truly happy world, but the regeneration that we're marching towards. Some people ask, like, Vanessa, what is it? The world, the regenerative world. Let me say, in the book, The Gospel According to Spiritism, chapter 3, there are several spirit messages, and there is one, chapter 3, The Gospel According to Spiritism. Item 16, among the stars that twinkle in the blue canopy. Is that a song? Twinkle, twinkle, little star. No, it's not. In the blue canopy of the firmament, how many worlds there are like yours, designated by the Lord for trial and expiation, like ours. All earth, and planets all over the universe, like Earth. It's like schools. Yeah, they exist all over. But there are also some that are more miserable and some that are better. And there are those of transition, which may be called regenerative. Each planetary vortex moving in a space around a common center. Da-da-dee, da-da-da, da-da-dee, da-da-da. And then, listen to this. Regenerative worlds serve as a transition between worlds of expiation and worlds of bliss. The repentant soul finds peace and repose on them, and ends up purifying itself. So you see, the key to stay in this better world that we're creating on earth is to recognize the mistakes. Question number 1 today, because Brother Jacob in the book, he recognized his mistakes. And now he's moving forward. This step is inevitable. In the book Heaven and Hell by Kardec, they talk about the ladder of regeneration. Number 1, repent. And repent is not about feeling guilt. Repentance is realization of a mistake. It's like, I should have done differently. It's like when I change my perspective, when I feel differently regarding an approach, an attitude, myself. So to stay here on earth and not be exiled elsewhere, we really need to realize our shortcomings, to really make sure that we're keeping an eye, that we're not distracted, saying, I'm the king or the queen of the world, and I want people to do this, and I don't care how they feel, because I'm the king, because I'm the queen. No. In this planet, that attitude doesn't work. Repentant souls find peace and repose on them and ends up purifying itself. Of course, on such worlds, humans are still subject to the laws that govern matter. Their humanity still experiences sensations and desires, but it is free of the muddled passions that enslave you. On regenerative worlds, there's no longer the pride that renders your heart silent. There's no longer the envy that tortures it, and the hatred that suffocates it. The word love, now this is the part that I wanted to share with you the most. The word love is written on every brow. A perfect equity governs social relationships, and everyone acknowledges God, endeavoring to evolve towards Him by following His laws. Friends, this is item 16 of the Gospel According to Spiritism, chapter 3. It's about regenerative worlds with transition. We are marching towards it. So the number 1 is repentance. Number 2, we really need to see how we're going to accommodate this. And love. If I cannot feel love for people, love is not about family. Today, Brother Jacob is going to teach us lessons regarding this. Love is beyond blood ties. Love is a true nourishment for the soul. And I tell you, Kardec Radio is made out of love, because all the hosts, every single volunteer, I assure you, they work day in, day in and night out of love. And that's why we are here, nourishing our souls with love. This is what the new world is going to feel like. We're equal. You and I equal. There's nobody more than anybody else. And we're communing. We're putting something in common. Our need to do this banquet of light together, right, Carol?
Right.
Of awakening our virtues, like Brother Jacob shared with us yesterday. The renowned Bittencourt Sampaio bringing us this illumination. Okay? So, McCarthy Clare is asking, what does it mean, atone? And is it the same as repent? No. Thank you for asking. Repent is the first step. Repentance is when I realize that I did something wrong. Nothing to do with guilt. The next step is atonement or expiation. In Spiritism, we have a technical term, expiation. What does that mean? It means that naturally, when we realize that we did something that was not right, we will suffer. We will go through that struggle, that discomfort. And we may even experience, not necessarily, but we may experience at some point the feelings of what we caused on others. And then finally we repair. Okay? So atone is related to suffering. Once I realize I made a mistake, it's hard not to suffer. But then we are not stagnated there. We need to repair. It's not like, oh, I'm a bad person. Who am I? I don't deserve this world. You know? Paul of Tarsus is an example. My friend, man up. Be responsible. Really be responsible. Look at yourself in the mirror. Say, okay, big deal. Who doesn't make a mistake? And I'm going to make it right. But people are not going to believe me. Who cares? God believes in you. You don't depend on people. You depend on God, not in anybody else. You believe in yourself. I love and approve of myself in ways that are pleasing to God, not to people, to God. Right? Hello, Erci Araújo. I hope my curvy Claire it's explained. If not, forgive me. I can send you references from the book Heaven and Hell, okay, by Kardec. Marisa de Mello. Right, Carol? A big hug from us, Marisa. Celina, beautiful Celina. Hello, Jussara. Welcome. Celia Lancaster, thank you for being with us. So here we have the school. Now that Brother Jacob, opened his heart, confessed, the friends welcomed him in the temple. It was a therapeutic session with music, with friends, and with a beautiful therapeutic conversation guided by Bittencourt Sampaio. Now he's free to pursue the next steps, continue evolving, learning, progressing. So he tells us, infinite is the goodness of the Lord, who does not force anyone and always waits. It is true. God is great. How many people are desperate? Oh, that person doesn't change. Well, but is God in a rush? Tell me. Is God in a rush? Is God shaking us up and saying, Vanessa, it's been a zillion years and you still didn't get it? And I'm like, sorry, God. No, I'm like, he's like, Vanessa, keep moving. And sends friends, sends loved ones. Go on. It's okay. You're gonna make it. Try it again. God is not violent. He's not aggressive. Only ignorance is violent and aggressive. Right? All right. And he says this, that the warnings that he received struck him in silence. The assistance of his daughter Martha, the care of Brother Andrade, the conversations by Guilherme Ribeiro, and the devotion of Bittencourt Sampaio overflowed love that renews and elevates without frontier. You know what this means? Think about Jesus, our model. I'm not talking about me. Jesus. I aim at Jesus and I say, how did he approach it? He didn't talk to the crowds simply. He was available to everyone one-on-one. If we want to move forward, we need to do the same. we need in our spiritist centers as well to be available to talk to everybody who comes to the center and instruct the team to welcome everyone to this one-on-one and learn how to be wise in those interactions. It's what we call the fraternal assistance or fraternal counseling. And we count on organizations such as the federations to instruct and instrument spiritist centers on how to do fraternal counseling. Events, large events are good, but they do not suffice. We need courses, training, so spiritist practitioners and workers may learn skills of spiritual emergency, of fraternal assistance. Spiritist centers need to be instructed in that regard. So federations like the United States Spiritist Federation, the Brazilian Spiritist Federation, offering courses, offering instruction throughout the year, not only once a year. And like the federation in the United States, the books that are being provided, the workbooks, and the people that are sent to different centers, especially in the current times, Mentor Joseph says, we need to instrument each and every center to have a larger team of people who are good at listening to people and giving them some orientation. It's what we call fraternal assistance. That's why we brought Emma Bragdon to give a workshop in Washington, D.C., because she has been doing a phenomenal work that no spiritist is doing in this world. She is raising people's awareness on the importance of being available, of instructing mental health practitioners and professionals about the combination of spiritist practice and mental health care. She brings people to the hospitals, the psychiatric hospitals in Brazil, and show them how it works so they can come here and implement here. God bless her heart, because nobody is doing that. Nobody in the world is doing that. Right, Jussara? She said, good idea, I'll make a video course for her. Don't make us cry, Jussara, because the mentors say, Jussara and friends, like Mentor Joseph, because of the critical times on the earth, many people are desperate. Many people may become ever more desperate depending on what happens in the world. We need seriously prepared spiritist friends at a greater extent, because if something greater happens, we need to be able to help and assist everyone. So the time has come. Spiritism is not for those who are initiated. Spiritism is for everyone. Spiritism is for everyone, not only the teachings but the practice. Okay? Thank you, Jussara, for your beautiful heart always, and everything that you have been doing promoting the teachings. Right, Nico? God is love, Leonora. So, Brother Jacob, you are adorable. And now something he says, no one humiliated me. Instead, everyone encouraged me to self-improvement. This is so interesting, isn't it, Carol?
It is.
Because, some people, they feel humiliated if you encourage him or her to self-improvement. Does it mean that I have a mistake? Well, who doesn't? But be patient. Oh, are you lecturing me? No, take it easy. Be calm. Are you saying I'm not calm? And I'm like, no, I'm just encouraging. No, you're not. You're criticizing me. I'm like, okay, forget about it. Aline. Thank you, Aline. Right, Brianna? We all look forward to the video series. Jussara. Team working. Salutary modifications cheered me up, penetrating my heart without noise. Because of all this, on the day immediately after my understanding with Bittencourt Sampaio, my spirit was plunged into grave and profound reflections. Important, huh? And he asked himself if he could actually guide people to do the work if he was feeling a little puzzled. So he said, I started to meditate in prayer, pleading with the Lord for added spiritual viability. My readjustment was inevitable before I turned myself to new businesses. So in this state of mind, he received the intentional visit of Guilherme Ribeiro, who assured him not to ignore what occurred. He attributed my difficulties to transient maladjustment to the spiritual life and advised me to take a quick course in one of the schools of enlightenment there. You see, Jussara, talking about courses. Course in the schools of enlightenment. I want to go to that school. You do too, yes. Carol? Who wants to go there? Me too. And he says, now, breathe in, please. And I say this because sometimes our minds are like, and you are there, I know it's not only this image you're Facebooking and doing stuff, but hold on a second. Breathe in and out. Let's do this. In this new service, Jacob said, Brother Andrade, try to be a boy again. Do not keep preconceived ideas. Forget the businessman you were. Forget the commanding position with subordinates and grateful people at your disposal. Remember when Jesus said, let the children come? If we want to evolve, we need to purify the hearts and be open. This thing about, I know, doesn't open us. The best thing is, zip, practice silence. When you're working, you don't need to work thinking out loud. Think and be open. Say, God, I want to observe and learn. There's something more for me to learn, always. But I can only learn if I am empty inside. No preconceived ideas. There are people who come and say, I know what you're talking about. I read in that book. 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 Forget about it. Stop the browsing in your mind. And say, okay, Brother Jacob. I'll be a child again. The moment always comes when we have to give back to the Lord the gifts He lent us. When a clean, fresh mind, with a clean, fresh mind, you learn more about the meaning of real life. Knowing to start over here is a pleasant and time and a complex science as well. But you can start right now. You know, there is this tale about the master and the disciple. The disciple one day came to visit the master and said, Master, I want to be your apprentice. He said, yeah, come on, sit down. Let me offer some tea. So he was boiling the water, picking up the... And meanwhile, The apprentice was like, you know, I want to learn so much because I read about this and I read about that and I studied this and I have many years of meditation. And the master just listening. And then he's pouring water onto the cups of tea. He's listening. And then the disciple says, Master, Master, it's overflowing. Said, yes. You see, in order to learn, you need to empty your cup. Otherwise, it's not going to stay in. How many people go to courses, spiritist centers, and they leave as they entered? Why? Because they are not open. They have an agenda. I want to see if they're going to say, I'm fine. And they leave like, see, I'm fine. It's like going to the doctor and like the doctor, am I not fine? You need to do tests. I know I'm fine. And you leave. It's like useless. Some people are like this in their daily lives. Right, Patricia? Welcome, Patricia. Now, he listened carefully to the advice, and he said that in the classroom, this is cute, a few dozen spirits who were there with the instructors. I noticed that the classes were lively and they were not like sullen, and it was very difficult to differentiate teachers and apprentices. And some people are like, you know, sincerely, I tell you, in spiritist events, I don't think it's appropriate when people put like 1 million people seated on stage. You know why? Because we have common grounds. And Jesus never differentiated himself like this. We can be in a podium just for the sake of, you know, the audio, the camera. But ideally, when we practice fraternity, we don't need to be on a stage, differentiated from others. So there are lots of things for us to really make it more coherent and less a repetition of old conditionings of the past. Forgive me for sharing this, but we needed to be more coherent in that regard. Everything was simple and cordial. The atmosphere was warm and welcoming. Serious discourse in an engaging fraternity. Serious discourse in an engaging fraternity. Fraternity is about equality. It's from the word fraternal, frater. It's about brotherhood, equality. When we are fraternal, we are equal. We don't feel ourselves above anybody. Jesus, he was so fraternal that Judas thought he was not capable of pushing the teachings, the dissemination to another level. And he thought, I'm going to do it myself. When we're truly fraternal, that's what happens in our world. People start thinking we are too weak, that we are not impositional. And the reverse is true. When we are not fraternal, people may be afraid of us. But then there is no actual moral authority. It's an authority based on fear. So we need to ask ourselves where we are in that regard. Right, Adilson? Humility is the key. I remember that Eduardo Guimarães used to say when I started to study this beautiful doctrine, Adilson, every page, every lesson is for us, not for others. So, since then, every day there is a lot of material to improve myself. I agree with you, Adilson. And this is an opportunity for us to revisit our dynamics as well. Though we're studying here, but we're like, we need to make organizations at work, professional work, spiritist work, communities, more fraternal. make people feel that the authority is to do the good in itself and not coming from a person that needs to impose fear or impose socio-economic power. Right? Okay. So, Brother Andrade actually, relayed the responsibility of his protection to others, and he left. And he would stay in that course for a few weeks. Now, seeing myself alone with the instructor who was taking care of me, I recorded his stimulating and affable words. He was sincerely interested in helping me. Leading me to extensive enclosure of the organization, he spoke to me, cheerful and frank. You will enjoy lessons and take advantages of the possibilities of the school with the necessary efficiency, in the midst of spirits unknown to you until now. In matters of enlightenment learning, earthly affections do not always help. They actually frequently disturb. The conquest of inner light demands a certain violence to the interest of the self and the relatives or alike, sometimes touched by exclusivist affection, by wounded self-love. This in most instances involves the soul in a dome of perilous illusion, just as if an insulated material removed us from the real climate of life. Each one of us is a particular problem in the divine creation. Let us bravely confront our enigmas, if it is necessary to free the heart from the lower zones in order to reconnect it to the higher planes. May we have the merit to do so. He said to Brother Jacob, in a very hopeful, very youthful way, smiling, patting fatherly on the shoulders. You see, this body language is truly Christ-like. It's not like, you see, go there and do it. No. Use your hands. Friendly. And say, go. Go ahead. Move forward. Be happy. He's telling us, the instructor of the course. After all, it's a school of illumination. Don't worry.
Be
happy.
happy.
Oh, but I'm so bad. Don't worry. Be happy. Right, Karen?
Right.
La 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 la. La 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 la. Don't worry. Be happy. Right? Be happy. The spirit instructor is telling him, what else are we going to listen in the spiritual realm? Be happy. Be happy. Be happy. How many lives do you think we've heard this? Few. I think probably the first. Yeah. Many lives were gloomy. Survival. When we talk about the theory of Abraham Maslow, it reminds us that people only achieve this self-actualization when their needs are achieved. So probably talking about that in our reincarnations, maybe this is the first reincarnation. We're able to work at that level, which is self-illumination. I mean, work in the sense of like consciously. Because many lives we were in the survival mode, like many people nowadays. Like, oh, Vanessa, I don't have time for my family because I have to work. I don't have time for spiritual things because I have to work. And that's how it works. I'm like, not really. We really need to say, like Chico Xavier, go to work, be diligent, but do not enter the trance of the illusions. But Vanessa, People are intense and competitive. Yes, but you don't have to be. But then I'm not going to survive. You will. How do I know? It happened to me. 18 years at the University of Maryland. Competition. But you know, Mentor Joseph taught me, Vanessa, you don't have to pray for your friends during the meetings. You don't have to power struggle. Let them win if they're competing. It doesn't mean you're going to lose a job. It's about not entering the mermaid's chant. You know, it's about materialism. No, I have to do it. I have to work hard. And then your children are growing and you're not balancing your time with them. You're not enjoying. You're not enjoying your partner. You're not enjoying your own self, your solitude with God. So we really need to pause, be happy. Remember, he said to Brother Jacob, your need for wholesome transformation, and keep yourself strong and serene. Repeat it? Yes. Remember, be happy. Remember your need for wholesome transformation, and keep yourself strong and serene. Soon I took my place among assistants. No one that I knew. Now, something curious. You'll be surprised. You see, he said, earthly affections do not help when we want to work on our enlightenment learning. So some people are like, oh, but I would love that my mom and my dad and my brother and my sister and my dog and my parrot be here in the Spiritist Center. No. Enlightenment learning, in matters of enlightenment learning, earthly affections do not always help. They actually frequently disturb. The conquest of inner light demands a certain violence to the interests of the self and of the relatives, or alike, sometimes touched by exclusivist affection, by wooden self-love. If your family members want to be in the Spiritist practice with you, okay. But if they don't think, oh, I'm so defeated. No, look at this. Work on yourself. Rejoice. Because sometimes people are like, but do you love me or Jesus? Like Raul Teixeira, the renowned Spiritist medium from Brazil. Did you know when he was younger, he was actually engaged to a woman whom he liked, and she liked him. But one day, she said, it's either me or your devotion to Christ through these teachings. And he said, no matter how much I love you, I'm going to continue this. Thank God. What kind of emotional blackmail is this? We're not judging her. But I know many people are like this. So you know my solution? I'm going to tell you what Mentor Joseph taught me over the years. He said, Vanessa, for example, when I started dating Carlos, you know Spiritism is a priority for me. If we get married, my priority is still going to be Spiritism. If you want to be with me, either you embrace it as a priority or you don't embrace me at all. And he accepted. Is it easy? No. But you need to be sincere. And we tell every single person, if you are going to date somebody, do not put aside your spiritual priorities. Tell sincerely to your partner, look, this is vital for me. Do not ever, if you love me, do not ever dare to emotionally blackmail me, asking me if I love you more or less than this practice, because that's not a fair comparison. Two different things. The love for Christ strengthens us to love our loved ones. There's no competition. And the Spiritist practice is vital for the construction of a new world. You don't push your partner or your family, your friends, to join you, but you make it clear to them that that is vital part of you. That's sincerity. And do never bargain, because if you do, you're going to regret later. I know people who did this and then they got divorced and they regret it, like, oh, you see? No, but the mistake is yours. Because you should have been sincere and said, if you love me, you accept me with this priority. Okay? Now, he says to brother Jacob, he didn't know anybody in the course. He tells us, no tie would make me return mentally to the past. I learned later on that this characteristic of the institution is providential. So some people are like, oh, I'm in a place that is strange to me. I don't know anyone wonderful. Why? Because now you are open and free to begin anew, and you don't have a repetition of things that are imprisoning you. Okay? So Adilson is saying, Rosanna Lashley is a dear friend who just came back from Mozambique from the Caravan of Education by Fraternity Without Broad. Thank you, Rosanna, for doing this phenomenal work. Hello, Lisa Teles. He says, we do not find ourselves in a field of balanced love yet. I'm going to repeat it. We do not find ourselves in a field of balanced love yet. The inheritance of the blood-related circle, unconditional sympathy, the sectarian group, or the preferential impulse still follows us intensely in the sphere in which I readjust. The superior authority allows us to preserve such asset in its venerable feature of constructive inclination. However, in the regimen of spiritual enlightenment, it is prudent to act against any exclusivist situation, thus the convenience of the congregation of neutral elements to one another, because the friendship established there does not have the remnants of the earthly passion, that even in its beautiful noble aspect within which it is harnessed in the elevation of cultural and sentimental level of the world. It works against the harmony of the mind, without which it is impossible to ignite our own light. Bottom line, he is learning that if you are symbiotic with your loved ones, you know, some people are like, oh, I'm not going to take this course because my husband doesn't think it's appropriate, because my friends don't think, because, or I will take it if they do too. That doesn't exist. Look at the model of our lives, the Gade model. Jesus was not anchored in his family. He was connected, but he was connected equally to everybody else. The day people on earth devote themselves to humanity as much as they do to their families, problem solved. The problem is that people even don't dedicate themselves wholeheartedly to their family. There are a lot of family struggles happening around. So, Brother Jacob is teaching us that to achieve self-illumination, we need to detach. Question for you and I, how detached are you to the same old circles? How detached? Scale 0 to 10. 0 being not detached at all, 10 being super detached. Are you like, I'm only gonna do this if my husband, my wife, my brother, my sister, for God's sakes, you're a spiritist. And it's time for you to unshackle yourself, be free, and say, I love you, husband or wife. I love you, brothers, sisters, daughters. Some people tell me, Vanessa, you bring Virginia to every spiritist occasion. Yes. Oh, poor Virginia. She could be on Disneyland. She could be on a playground playing. And you think for the reincarnating spirit, they are going to be better off in a playground other than receiving this imprint of brotherhood in a spiritist family? We need to read the books all over again. We're not reading well. No. There is no better place for this child to be in. The place where we cherish the highest teachings on the earth. And where we learn to make friends always. So you see how short-sighted we are? And we're hanging on temporary relationships. And you think when we discarnate, we're gonna say, oh, I didn't do mediumship practice because my wife didn't agree. And you think the spirit will say, oh yes, I understand you. No, we're gonna regret it. Not being courageous enough to do what we have to do. Because your commitment and my commitment is between us and God. Your partner does not own you. And if you are justifying your dedication because of that, probably it's your justification. Now you're using unconsciously your spouse to justify your laziness. And I'm not saying yours, it could be mine. Oh, I'm not courageous enough to say that I don't want to do it. So I say, my spouse, no, be courageous. Say, I don't want to do it. I don't want to dedicate that much. But do not use your spouse for it. Do not badmouth your family to justify your own decisions. When we grow mature, we say, I'm going to do it because I think it's important. I'm not going to do it because I don't think it's important. Because we're not 3 years old. To say I'm not going to do it because my mom doesn't let me do it. That's childish. In the spiritist practice, we really need to come to a greater level of maturity. Brother Jacob is teaching us that. Right? Right, Andrea? Perfect. Hello, Eduardo Guimarães. Talking about Eduardo, here he is. Here is the man. And Clara Simões, how are you? Paula, our friend from the SSB Center. Thank you, Paula. Friends, it's a very important conversation. Brother Jacob is learning things that are awakening us. Don't use your family members to justify why you don't devote yourself more greatly to the universal family. That's not nice. Let's be courageous and say, I do it because I think it's appropriate. I don't do it because I think I don't want to do it. Right? Ah, Eduardo. We miss you here, friend. We really miss you. Well, before long, I became familiar with the course. The organization is dedicated to the supply of educational values to spirits coming from the carnal sphere, but without great commitments in the diversion of the good. Now, finally, it is curious to note that most of the students find themselves in the position of the men in need of precious metal. Teachers are tireless to clarify that we have the most valuable enlightenment institution in reincarnation, emphasizing that in reality all earthly struggles aim at redeeming the spirit and inflaming it with celestial virtues. And the teachers of that course added that in the sanctuary of the physical body, we often forget the imperatives of our permanence in the various steps of preparation and proceed to pursue useless or ephemeral advantages when he is not a tyrannical observer. So he's saying how often we are here and we are here to illuminate ourselves, and instead we're like, oh, I want to have a husband and a wife and a child and a house and a car and a trip and a house at the beach. And then when you get to older age, now I'm going to have people, no time any longer. But we, the spiritists, we cannot do that anymore. You can get married, but that is the means, not the end. You may have children, but that's not the end. Like, oh, I achieved my goal, I have a child. Mamma mia, is your child a toy? No, it's a mission. It's not an achievement. It's not an award. Work, profession, degrees are tools. They are not achievements. When people graduate at universities, oh, now they are doctors. I have my degrees as well. But I learned since in early stages in my life that those degrees are tools to help. They are not achievements in the sense of like, oh, now I am the top of the mountain. No. Now I have more responsibility to help others. Physical health. And people spoil it. Physical beauty. And people use it to achieve very malicious goals, right? So he talks about the vices of the mind in idleness, and they leave the school of the earth in deplorable moral conditions. So we need to be careful. Creating debts because we didn't know how to use our free will. So the final sentence, and I will talk about this end of this chapter tomorrow. This chapter is so powerful. He says, I understood that all conflicts in a reincarnation are sublime goals. In real life, in the real life of the spirit, suffering loses its dark aspect, and we learn that they are blessings in disguise to improve and enlighten us. How often we're like, I want to get out of this problem, but what for? If I need to learn the next lesson first. So how do good students go through tests and exams? Facing it. Study with calmness, enjoying it. They apply themselves, right, Carol Correa, as a teacher?
Absolutely.
And I apply myself. And then I step onto another level. So don't rush to get rid of your problems. Rush to learn the lesson within them. And once we do, then another one's gonna come. That's how it is. Right? Yes, my friend. So we're gonna put a pause and we will come back tomorrow. You may be asking, Paula is asking, how do you help us to see life differently? Yeah, this book, Paula, really helps us see in a different way. That's why Brother Jacob kindly, thank you for making that point, brought to us this teaching. We really need to change the way we see things. What is the homework? Let's dig for our attachments. What is holding you from actually illuminating yourself? 24 hours to dig the answer to this question. That's our homework. What are your current attachments that are greatly impeding you from working more efficiently in your inner enlightenment? Okay? Have a beautiful night. And for those who want the singing, I'll give you a little bit because I know singing really elevates us, right?
Right.
It does elevate us. So, trying to find a solution for a new life, to find peace, peace within, peace in the world begins with me. If I have love, I know I'm truly happy. When we are kind to one another, we know true love is deeply in our hearts. The time has come for living peace on earth. We don't believe in the lack of love. Peace, for our children, peace, for our forests, peace, for President Trump as well. Peace, for everyone, for you and I, and until tomorrow, my friends, bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
See you.